Shifting focus from what's happening within Brazil to what's happening within Australia. Thousands of Australians have taken to the streets on Sunday to participate in anti-immigration demonstrations across the country. The centre-left government has condemned the marches, saying that they were associated with neo-Nazis and intended to incite hatred. The events, organised under the banner March for Australia, took place in Sydney, other state capitals and rural areas as well. In Sydney, between 5,000 and 8,000 participants gathered, many waving Australian flags near the marathon route where 35,000 runners were participating. Organisers have claimed the demonstrations were against mass migration, which they say has strained community bonds, sparking debate nationwide over immigration policies. Joining us on the broadcast is Jay Bharadwaj. He's managing editor at the Australia Today, joining us live from Melbourne. Thank you so much for taking our time speaking to us on NewsX World. We've seen a rise in anti-immigrant sentiments take place across the world, whether it is the United States, whether it is Japan, Europe for that matter as well. Now we're seeing anti-immigration demonstrations that are taking place in Australia too. Could you explain to our viewers across the world what exactly is happening on the ground? Why are we seeing a rise in such far-right protectionist movements in Australia too? Sir, can you hear me? Mr. Bharadwaj, am I audible? Yes, please go ahead. All right, there seems to be a connectivity issue as far as Jitat Bharadwaj's connection is concerned. We're learning that thousands of Australians have taken to streets to participate in anti-immigration demonstrations across the country. The centre-left government has condemned the marches, saying they were associated with neo-Nazis and intended to incite hatred. I believe Mr. Bharadwaj is back with us on the broadcast. I was, of course, asking you earlier, why are we seeing this rise in anti-immigration sentiment in Australia as well? We've seen similar such protests take place from the United States to Europe to Japan.
See, it's a global phenomena that the local Westerners are rising against the migration or the success of migrants in these countries. And Australia is not different from them. It has been happening through MAGA in America. You have seen a lot of protests in UK and Canada. Now it was turn of Australia on 31st of August, Sunday. And we saw a huge crowds of not only white Australians who were protesting, but also a number of multicultural Australians were there in these protests, saying that unsustained mass migration is not the answer to the development of these countries, including Australia. If we talk specifically about Australia, then I would say the first initial poster which we saw almost a week and a half back, where Indian Australian community was specifically mentioned, and it was said that in 5 years a large number of Indian Australians have come to Australia if they wanted to calculate against Greek and Italians who have come in last 100 years. That was racist, and it was called out as racist. And probably the organizational structure behind this March for Australia also realized that they have targeted the wrong community. After that, we didn't see any poster. After that, we didn't see any other mention of Indian Australians. Politicians from the Prime Minister's office to the Premier's office, or ministers, opposition leaders, community leaders, faith leaders, everyone condemned these posters where Indian Australians were specifically targeted. So what we consider is there was a op-ed written by opposition leader of Victoria, Ewan Mullahan. I would like to mention that that he says that this anger probably should not be vented against the migrant communities. There is issues about housing, there are issues about healthcare, there are issues about job security. But these issues are because the governments have not paid proper attention to these issues. They have not solved these issues the way probably people would have liked them to solve it. That's why these issues are there. And venting anger against migrants is misplaced. That's what he said. And especially Indian Australia community, it's contributes so much to Australia that it shouldn't be the case. So I would say, well, somewhere anger is justified, but that anger venting towards multicultural communities is definitely not. Pia?
All right, sir. Thank you so much for taking out time, sharing your perspective on what is happening in Australia. We've, of course, been seeing similar such movements, as I pointed out earlier, take place within the United States, within European nations as well, and in Japan too. Meanwhile, shifting focus towards Thailand.